the band's beginnings, you have an interesting story about how this band started out, because you were playing in front of troops, American troops, the USO circuit. For those that don't know what that is, I'm curious, why don't you let people know and talk about how this band got started doing that, because it's an interesting way for a heavy metal band to get its start.
It's a bit different, isn't it? In the early days, when we released our first album,
mm-hmm.
I was familiar with it. The cover has a American bald eagle, with an American flag behind it, and then it's kind of poking through the mist, the red and blue mist. It's this nice theme, but also reflective of the colors of our country, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in the Panama Canal Zone, and at the time in the band, 3/4 of the band were all from the Panama Canal Zone. The Canal Zone was a former U.S. territory.
Yeah.
Smack dab inside of the Republic of Panama. So if you can imagine a U.S. territory within the boundaries of another country. Okay. So we always knew we were part of the USA. We belonged to the USA. John McCain, the former presidential U.S. candidate, was born in the Canal Zone, Coca Solo, the Canal Zone, the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
I was a Pacific sider. I was on the other side. So we grew up in this environment, and the U.S. Southern Command was headquartered in the Panama Canal Zone. So the first rock band I ever saw play live was an Army band. And they were Army guys. So we'd go to the bases, we'd hang out, we'd go shopping there, we'd see the bands there, we'd go to the whatever there was, the carnivals that would come once a year, where they would bring in bands from the States to entertain the U.S. Military, the civilian infrastructure that was there to maintain the canal, and their dependents, which is what I was, and the guys in my band.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started ASKA, we'd been in the Canal Zone, but always knowing that, because in 1977, Jimmy Carter signed a treaty with Panama that effectively started this 20-year process, or 20-something year process, of reverting the U.S. territory, the U.S. holdings, to Panama, right? So basically ceding control of the canal to Panama and giving up all the lands and closing all of the military and civilian installations in towns, right? So once that was signed, we knew that our time in Panama was it was like one of those, the sand clocks, you turn it over and the sand runs out. We knew that the sand was running out for our time in Panama. So we decided, we're going to come to the States, and I decided to come to my dad's home state, which was Texas. And I got with a guy that I'd played with, an Army brat that I'd played with down there, and we were going to make a band. And so we came to the U.S. having that full experience of, having grown up around the military and doing that. So we were into that. That was our thing. We were very patriotic, very pro-U.S., pro-military. And when we decided to put together our band, we said, you know what? Let's have an American eagle, the bald eagle on the cover, the flag in the background. And our look on stage, we'll wear camouflage, like the military, and combat boots. And we'll have dog tags on our, for necklaces. And it'll be a very pro-U.S., pro-patriotic approach and image that we'll portray. Just to be noticed. And because it's something that we lived, we felt, it's in part of our inner core. And that's how we started the band. And we released our first album that way.
Cool.
Well, one night we were at the Basement in Dallas, famous for the fact that Pantera filmed a video there. I think their first video, I think they filmed maybe their walk video, maybe their Cemetery Gates. One of their videos was filmed there at the Basement. And great club, packed, with metalheads all the time. And we were doing a show there one night, and a guy approaches our crew and says, hey, I'd like to talk to these guys. I'd like to talk to the band. And of course, everybody in those, in those days, this was the 90s, the early 90s. Grunge still hadn't shown its face, right?
Okay.
This was still kind of the tail end of the metal, though nobody knew it at the time. Nobody knew that metal was about to take a nosedive off the cliff. But this guy wanted to talk to us. Well, everybody wanted to talk to us. We were a very popular band at DFW, remain so to this day. I mean, we have been for years. And we'd get, huge crowds and numbers of people, and everybody wanted to talk. So we kind of put the guy as a guy wanted to talk to us. Well, we were talking to these girls over here. So we kind of put the dude off, and he starts getting upset. He gets kind of angry, and he tells my roadie, Alan Farrell, he goes, "Hey, you know what? I'm out of here. You tell those guys when they decide to get serious to give me a call. Here's my card." And so immediately my roadie, Alan, comes to me. He goes, "Hey, man, the guy's leaving, and he gave me this card to give to you. And he says, when you guys decide to get serious," I go, "What? Wait a minute. That doesn't normally happen. Usually, the punters, the fans, they'll wait. They want to talk to you. They'll wait. This guy was leaving. That's unusual of it in itself." And I looked at the card, and it said, whatever, entertainment services, USOAP. What? Hold on. Let me get that. Don't let him go. Let me go. And we immediately stopped what we were doing and went to talk to the guy. Shook our hands. He told us he very much enjoyed our performance. He thought that what we did was really cool up there with the military, uniforms and our BDUs, our combat boots, our dog tags, and the flag. We had 2 American flags behind us, and we had 2 Dragon launchers on stage. We had camo netting on the stage. The whole thing was decked out like something out of a war movie, right? The entire stage was decked out that way. And he goes, this is really cool. I think it would build the morale of our troops stationed in hardship locations around the world. And now keep in mind, this is around the time of Desert Storm, Desert Shield, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, oh yeah, you think so? Yeah, well, we're all about it, dude. We're into the military. So he set up a meeting with us on Monday to talk about potentially booking us for touring the military circuit, right? And so we went, met with the guy, met at his hotel. He was staying in Irving, Texas, which is the home of the Cowboys at the time. We went. The guy was a captain in the USMC, Semper Fi, right? U.S. Marine Corps, and his job was he worked with the entertainment office for the U.S. government or whatever, and basically he scouted us. He came, he saw us play, thought we'd be great because our message was so positive and pro-U.S. while still rocking hard, bringing the metal, bringing the rock, and their circuit was full of country bands, R&B bands, comedy acts, but they had no rock bands. They had no metal bands, And he thought we were custom built for this. Made us an offer, and he wanted to send us to the Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, to Kuwait, to Bahrain. We're like, "Oh, isn't that a war zone? Isn't that active?" He goes, "Yep. I can't, promise or guarantee your safety, but it is what it is." And and we said, "Where do we sign?" We were ready, dude. We were gung ho. Which it may be early to touch on this, but when I think of what Iron Savior did lately, and you can go into explain that in a minute, but what they did lately was, it's not safe to play in the USA. I just find it so cowardly. Especially, we were going to active war zones. We went, it started with Saudi and progressed. We went to Bosnia, to Croatia, to Serbia, and we walked down Sniper Alley where we landed in places where immediately we were issued Kevlar helmets and flak jackets. We had convoys that would go drive ahead of us and stop every 20 minutes to check the roadway to scan for mines with their minesweepers. And we would be doing shows in Croatia, and here, in the background, you know, you'd hear automatic gunfire in the background, in the distance, you know, not the far distance, but so this is the kind of thing that we were, I mean, dying to get into, you know, to go and do, and then to hear somebody not want to come play the U.S. because they don't like who we elected president is dangerous. Come on, man.
Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.